Welcome back, shop rats. Today on Talk About It Tuesday, we're going to talk about the 3 most essential things to have should we enter into another Great Recession, Depression, or worse. I know that sounds like doom and gloom, and that's not where I'm coming from, but let's watch the show intro. We'll see you in about 30 seconds. I'm Mike, and this is My Car Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Cars Shop.
In my nearly 56 years of life, I have heard from the time I was little that the sky is falling and the world is coming to an end and everything's going to shut down and we're going to turn into a Mad Max world or whatever it all is. Heard it all my life, and Jesus is returning in the year 1984, and I mean, it's just Armageddon and doom and gloom, and well, a lot of that to me is just bovine feces. But since it's a hot topic, and since I think it's something that what we do applies to, let's just kick the tires of that for a little while and see what we come up with. So what are the 3 things that I think are the most essential should the world be coming to an end? Okay, I'm being facetious. I don't believe the world is coming to an end no matter how bad things get, but it doesn't hurt anything to talk about it. First of all, let me preface this by saying that I live out in the middle of nowhere, and we could be snowed in for 3 days to a week sometimes and not even be able to get out, even though I have my own snowplow and my own 4-wheel drive trucks and so forth. We've still been snowed in to the point that I can't get out because it takes a bigger plow than what I have to get the road opened up. So, having some form of preparation where I live is kind of important. You got to have heat, you got to have water, and maybe an electrical source that's outside the grid if the power's off. And we've had that for 3 or 4 or 5 days, been without power. So it's just a reality where we live. We have to have some level of preparedness for those kinds of emergencies. But that's not the world that necessarily everybody lives in. But that's not really the point of what I want to talk about here. Some of you already might be hitting what I'm pitching because these are words that you've heard before, but let me just back up before we get to that and just say, what we do in fabrication, restoration, preservation, and all the stuff that we do here on the channel is definitely some skill sets that have barter value, should our cash system go away and all we have are the resources that we have, and marketable skills that can earn you. Farmer Brown has a bushel of carrots and his tractor won't start. Most of us could probably do what it takes to get that going. Or neighbor Mary is having a problem with her porch and you can go over and hammer up some boards and help get that shimmed up for her. Or so and so broke this and they need it welded up, and I have a generator and a welder. But that's not the stuff I'm talking about. I'm not talking about construction, blacksmithing, mechanical fabrication. It's all part of it, but there's something that I think is more important than that. It's something at a deeper level, and as I've already given the little teaser, there are words that you've actually heard before, and once I share the first one with you, you might know what the next ones are. Number 1 is having some vision. Now you probably know what the rest of them are, don't you? But let's talk about that vision. That means the ability to be able to see, to identify, to recognize. And I think in a crisis situation, whether it's a temporary crisis because everything around you got wiped out by a hurricane because of where you live in Texas, or a tornado if you live in Kansas, or a blizzard in Michigan, or a tsunami if you're on the West Coast, or wherever that happens, I don't know, tidal waves, all that stuff, there's obviously a level of vision that's required to see what's needed in a crisis situation. And that ties directly to what we do here on the channel. So, Becky has always said this to me. She sees me bring home some old rusty piece of total garbage, and other people look at that stuff and go, tow that to the junkyard. That thing is a piece of crap. But I have the vision, and I know what I can do, and I know what I have at my disposal, and I have the vision to see what it could be. And in fact, often I see multiple things it could be. So that's number one in a difficult crisis situation, in a Great Depression, in a world shutdown, is to be able to identify what needs to be done. And then, of course, the second step in that is to be able to do it. But that's not really what we're talking about here. Number two, creativity. You got to be able to think outside the box. And we come under a lot of fire for that here, especially where in this disposable world, everybody says, why would you make that when you can buy it? To which my response is, why would you buy it when you can make it? I'm a creative person. I'm a musician. I'm an artist. I'm a writer. I do all of these different creative things because that's who I am. I enjoy the creativity process. I like taking nothing and making something. And maybe that's a God complex. I don't know. But I like being creative, and creativity is important. Now, if we put ourselves in a crisis situation and you identify what needs to happen, you're going to have to get real creative to make it happen. And so that's where what we do translates. So whether you're, in like my buddy Mark, who is into cars and definitely does some hands-on stuff with cars, but his real forte is woodworking, he can, with his skill set, be very creative in creating barterable, is that a word? Barterable? Creating barterable things that he can make a bowl or a cup or whatever, because other people don't have those things, and barter that for that bushel of carrots or whatever. And some of us can make that stuff out of metal. But being able to see what needs to be done and then being creative in the ways that you can go about it. Looking at the resources that you have, the tools and the equipment and the materials and all of the stuff that you have at your disposal, and finding creative ways to come up with solutions. Number three, no surprise here, problem solving. So we have the vision, we've identified it, we have come up with some creative possibilities, but we really need to be able to problem solve. And so that's creative solutions. Again, those two things may sound alike, but they're kind of not. Here's the situation, here's the problem, how do we fix it? Well, I need to be creative, I need to have the vision. And so again, they're not really in any particular order, but they are all important. Do you have the critical thinking mind? Have you developed that critical thinking mind to be able to problem solve? Now, a lot of y'all may not know this, but we homeschooled our kids for most of their education. My son was homeschooled, except for a couple of years, all the way through high school and graduated from homeschool. Our daughter was homeschooled all the way up through junior high, and then she just chose to go to public school for her high school curriculum. And by the way, she graduated top of her class. Both kids have done extremely well. Well, I'm just being a dad and bragging, but they're really, really smart kids. Now, I can't take much credit for that because Becky is the one who was their teacher, and she's probably the smartest person that I know. She is really, really smart. But we balance each other because
I'm really dumb.
One of the things that was so important to me was helping our kids with critical thinking skills. And we really, she was the teacher, I was the principal, so to speak, and we really worked together to try to come up with a curriculum approach that helped them develop their critical thinking skills. That's to be able to look at something and analyze it and not take it at face value and think it through and come up with creative solutions. And I think that's kind of sorely lacking in today's world. But I guarantee that if you're here on the channel, you have that stuff. You have that critical thinking ability to be able to be a problem solver, where so much of the world is a problem creator. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place.
This is my car's shop.
So those are the things that I see that I believe are probably the most important. And those are the people that I want around. That's one of the reasons why I like my buddy Mark coming up and I like my buddy Chris coming up, because we get to put our heads together and our critical thinking minds and problem solve together. And you've seen, especially with Chris and I working together, some of the stuff hasn't been on the channel that we do. Some of it's going to be coming on the Our Place channel eventually. But we problem solve. So I was going over, for example, the blueprints that I'm drawing for the project. And yes, there is stuff that I really do behind the scenes. But I'm working on drawing up the blueprints for exactly how I'm going to build the golden mullet. And we spent a long time going over those blueprints and him asking me questions and talking about materials and material thicknesses and what's my thought for this and how are we going to do that and how are you going to do this and how are you going to do that. And
why you gotta look like that? And I just looked at him, I kind of laughed. I said, I am cool. I am the breeze.
Sorry, gratuitous song lyrics.
so those things are important, and I think it's worth spending some time talking about. So drop it down there in the comments. What other, aside from the marketable, barterable things that you have at your disposal, what are some other attitudes and mindsets that you think are important should we end up in a Great Depression situation and the grid is shut down and we are all in this new world of survival trying to get by? I think it's a discussion worth having, and I think it's something worth thinking about. I don't know.
That's my opinion. It should be yours.
All right, that's going to do it for this one. We're over on the Face thing. We're over on Instagram. She loves us. She does cookies and stuff for us. We're here on the You thing, so like, subscribe, share, comment, go over to the community tab, start some discussion or participate in some discussion. I love it when you guys start talking with each other on the stuff and, all of that. I feel like I'm forgetting something that's important, whether we are in this world order or a new world order or, oh, I know what it is.
Rock!